A multi-billion-dollar tax subsidy for the use of clean coal. That's coal when you take it out of the mines and you clean it. That was passed under the Bush administration. Investigative reporting has found later that this clean coal is actually producing more smog than previous to this, than they were supposed to be in the first place, the whole point of these subsidies. So now Congress is investigating whether or not to renew this subsidy, which expires at the end of the year. So Reuters reports that the Government Accountability Office is examining the refined coal tax credit program, which generates at least $1 billion a year for US corporations after evidence emerged that power plants using the fuel produced more smog and not less. The outcome of the probe could play a big role in whether lawmakers vote to renew the subsidy, on track to expire again, as I was pointing out, at the end of the year. So Section 1307 of the Energy Policy Act of 2005, it authorized $1.65 billion in tax credits for clean coal projects, $800 million of credits to support integrated gasification, combined cycle projects for electricity generation, $500 million for support advancing coal electricity generation projects that utilize innovative technologies, and another $350 million to gasification projects that support activities other than electricity generation. So before we jump into the problems with this, some of the companies and beneficiaries of this include global insurance brokerage Arthur J. Gallagher and Company, Detroit utility DTE Energy Company, Boston-based Fidelity Investments, Goldman Sachs Group, JP Morgan Chase and Company, pharmaceutical giant Mylan NV, and Waste Management Incorporations. That's according to disclosures that was reviewed by Reuters. So some progressives that have been elected have seen the problems that Reuters reported before, and they're like, well, why would we continue to do this? Billions of dollars, well, over $1 billion worth of tax credits going to these companies to do something that they're simply not doing. Let's go, Cenk.
Yeah. All right. So this is crony capitalism 101. These giant companies give money to politicians, and then politicians in return give them billions of our money, because it's every single year that they get over $1 billion. That's why some of those giant banks have piled up over $1 billion in benefits just for themselves. So, and it doesn't work? Of course not. That's not the point. The point is to funnel our money to giant corporations, and that mission is accomplished. So first of all, let's clarify Jayar's comment about how you take out the coal and wash it. And then I'll give you some more stats about what a debacle this program was. This is the reference he was alluding to.
And it's just been announced that a second brand new coal mine where they're going to take out clean coal, meaning they're taking out coal, they're gonna clean it, is opening in the state of Pennsylvania, the second one.
No, they don't. They don't take out the coal and then clean it. They don't. Okay, hey guys, hey, anybody run the dishwasher yet on the coal? Okay, oh, you put it in the washer. Oh, make sure you put it in the dryer afterwards. Okay, no, that's not how clean coal works. Besides which, clean coal was always BS. It was never real. It was a marketing gimmick. And so they're like, all right, now we're gonna go clean the coal. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so Duke's Marshall Steam Station in Sherrill Fords, North Carolina tried this for a couple of years. I give them credit because they actually looked at the facts and then decided not to do it going forward, because they found out that the nitrogen oxides that they're trying to get rid of by washing the coal actually went up 33 to 76% higher in the 3 years that they were using it. They're like, well, that kind of defeats the point. So they're a rare company who stopped because they're like, it's making it worse. It's not making it better, right? By the way, it also has a byproduct that gets into the water and was poisoning a nearby water supply. And so, and after they stopped doing that, 3 months later, the water was back totally fine. Oh, this is a disaster. Why? Because they're adding chemicals to the coal, which was already disastrous on several grounds because the chemicals that are already in it. It's extra chemicals. It doesn't help. It makes it worse. So look, I've got 1,000 stats on why it's worse. They tried it on 56 plants. Only 3 of them could show that because of this, their emissions went down. 3 out of 56. 22 out of the 56 plants had the nitrogen oxides go up, not down. Up, it went up, it went up. Okay, that's just a debacle of epic proportions. We're paying them to make it worse. Okay, and this isn't just climate change. It leads to smog, it leads to acid rain, it leads to the pollution of the water supply in your hometown. This is insane. And look, every study that's looked at it was like, don't do that. The normal dirty coal power plants had a better performance in lowering nitrogen oxides than the clean power plants. So it should actually be labeled extra dirty coal. That's the more accurate title for this thing.
It's like they take the coal out and they get it dirtier before they put it back in. Anyways,
right.
So think about this way.
They take the coal out, they spit on it, rub it under their underarm, and then they throw it back in. That's simpleton. He really thinks like in these terms.
That's the way we can know how this actually works. So I want you to think about it. People are filing taxes right now. Many people have been out of work for a year as the pandemic was raging in 2020, and still is now. So imagine doing your taxes and then getting some tax credits. You're like, oh man, what tax credits can I get? Maybe you're talking to someone who knows what they're talking about. You're a tax professional. It's like, there's gotta be some tax credits. And he goes, yeah, there's a few of them here, but you don't actually have to follow any of the things you have to do to get those tax credits. In fact, if you do the opposite, we'll give it to you. Who has that deal? Which one of you guys have that deal at home? Are you guys sitting there going, yeah, man, I'm gonna get, and by the way, to the tune of billions of dollars. Imagine if you do that to the tune of $1,500. They're gonna come after you and they're gonna say you're breaking the law. What are you doing asking for tax credits for something that you do not qualify for? But here, you can qualify for it, be blatant about it, and hope that it continues. Not, hey, let me see if I can switch this up and maybe begin to fall under the right parameters to receive this tax credit. No, just let's forget about it. So keeping that in mind, first of all, I want to go to this to the graphic about how much is being spent here, the damages, and how much is being burned every year. So just last year, 150 million tons of refined coal was burned in the United States, according to the US Energy Information Administration. Producers get a tax credit of $7.30 for each ton burned. 150 million tons was burned. You get $7.30 for each ton that is burned. And also, by the way, Arthur Gallagher, who his company that I mentioned earlier, they stockpiled about $1.5 billion in tax credits from investing in this. And he's hoping that it'll continue. So he was quoted as saying, I always think there's a chance that we can continue this extension. We hope that there's some proposed legislative changes that would. Not, hey, we got to figure out how to find our ways to get back into the right parameters to receive the tax credit. Let's just hope it continues because we're not doing anything. But hey, we want the money. Can you imagine saying that out loud after it's been discovered that you're not falling into the right parameters to get the tax credit? Well, I'm not gonna do it. In fact, it's gonna stay bad, but hey, we better keep this money rolling in. But you're at home are gonna have to be worried about receiving something simple as a COVID relief check, which is nowhere near enough. And if you don't qualify correctly because you make a little too much money, that's another problem. And we're gonna make sure we cut your knees out from under you there because hey, you made some money in 2019. But here you can just blatantly say, hey, let's not follow the rules and hey, you better extend it because I'm me.
Yeah, look, I don't understand how this is debatable. Like we're still like 2 years after Reuters did this brilliant investigation. And look, I beat up on the mainstream press all the time, rightfully so, but I love giving them credit when they do great investigative reporting, and Reuters did in this case. The jury's in, the evidence is definitive. And I don't know why conservatives wouldn't be on our side. Exactly. It's not clean coal, it's dirty coal. And why are they giving our taxpayer money to these giant corporations? Conservatives should hate that. It's definitely crony capitalism. And it's dumb, it doesn't work. You know, one of the things that they did to give you a sense of how bad the crony capitalism was, they said, now we're not gonna test your emissions because that would actually show what you're actually doing, okay? Instead, we're gonna let you take a couple of lumps of coal and bring them to a lab, and we're gonna do a lab test a couple times a year. Well, then you might actually take it out and put it in the dishwasher and bring it to them. like, of course you're gonna bring in the cleanest coal you have. Okay, whatever that is, even went through the process or it didn't. I don't know the specifics of the lab test, but I know that if you're not spot checking them and they're bringing the sample to you, it is 100% unadulterated BS. Everybody knows that. right? So that's saying, hey, just take the money because you're our contributors. We don't care. So just do anything you want. It's mainly go to big banks. So what do we care? Those are our biggest contributors. But I gotta finish this. Look, to give you a sense of the correct analogy here, coal creates this massive problem, right? The nitrogen oxides, let alone the mercury and all the other things. It basically pollutes the area around it. It's like somebody that comes and says, look, I'm gonna drop a number 2 in your house, okay? And then instead of saying, hey, no, don't do that, I don't know you, and don't do that in my yard, are you nuts, right? The government says, I'll give you $1 billion to drop a cleaner one on my front lawn. And then it turns out, no, you don't drop a cleaner one, you drop a much dirtier one. And then we're negotiating. Well, should we give them an extra $1 billion or should we not? No, how about you tell them not to take a dump on your lawn? How about that? It's not that complicated, it isn't. The only reason we're having a conversation about it is because all of our politicians are totally bought off. They're 100% corrupt. But no one in the press will tell you that because that would be rude. Telling you the truth would be rude. So that's why it's happened.
And my very last thought, that same Arthur J. Gallagher, his companies also, they stockpiled that 1.5 billion. 1 billion of it has been remained to be used in future years to offset federal tax liabilities. So just have it hanging around. Do you guys have that money hanging around to offset any future tax liabilities that you may have? Because I don't know, you're living, or maybe you're trying to stockpile it so that your company can continue to do what they've been doing and have absolutely no problems. So is the money needed? Is it being reinvested into the economy? Is it being reinvested into the employees? Is it trickling down? Is everyone doing great because of this? Or is just a few companies doing great because of this?
You know, Jayar, here's one question I never heard about this subsidy that we're giving. How are you gonna pay for that? It doesn't even work. It's billions of dollars over all these years. And yet no one asks because it helps giant businesses. How are you gonna pay for that? That's only if it helps Americans and the average citizen. Do you get that question from Anderson Cooper? Let's keep it real.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, Jayar. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.